Hey everyone, my name is Samina and I'm the head of developer relations here at thirdweb. Today I'm doing a technical workshop to show you how to quickly get started using our tools. And the first part, I'm going to be showing you a couple different options on how to deploy a smart contract using thirdweb and also managing that same smart contract using the thirdweb dashboard. The second part, we are going to create an application that interacts with our smart contract. And for this part, I'm going to be using the React SDK. If that is not your language of choice, that's totally okay. You can also use other different SDKs such as Python, Go, Unity, whatever else you want to build on. The process should be fairly simple and similar. So before I begin, I did want to also remind you all of the bounty that we are doing today. Basically, our requirement is to deploy a application that solves any major pain point in Web3. And for the bounty, we did not specify any specific networks that you have to deploy on, but I will be showing you how to do an application or how to deploy a smart contract on the Milkomeda A1 testnet. So with that in mind, let's get started. To deploy any contract on the blockchain, you will need to provide funds for gas fees. And oftentimes with the mainnet, you'll need to use a real cryptocurrency or native cryptocurrency. But for testnet, you can use testnet funds, which you usually get from faucets. And the awesome thing is Milkomeda provides documentation on how to obtain these funds and also bridge them over to our EVM chains. In the Milkomeda guide, if you navigate to Algorand EVM rollup and under for developers, there is a couple pages on how to do this. So if you have any issues with this, let us know and we'll be able to help you through the process. So to get started building any decentralized application, the first thing you will need is a smart contract. And for this, we have a couple of options that I'm going to be showing you today, but I will ultimately be using a thirdweb pre-built contract. So the first thing we're going to do is navigate to thirdweb.com/dashboard and go ahead and tab over to the contracts page. Here, you're going to be prompted to connect your wallet. I'm going to be using my MetaMask. Since I've already connected before, the process is fairly simple, but it may prompt you to log in. And under here, you can see that we have two options here on the top right. We can import a contract. All you have to do is provide the contract's address and the network, and you can import that into your dashboard. And the other option is to deploy a contract, which will take us to thirdweb Explorer, which is basically a smart contract hub for you to be able to use contracts that already have been created, but you're going to own them as you deploy them. So the one I want to use today is the NFT drop contract, and I'm going to go ahead and start the process for deploying. When you click on it, it takes you to a page. You can see the audit report, you can see the licenses, all of the different functions within the contract. I'm going to skip over that a little bit and go straight to filling out the fields. I'm going to call this HBC test contract. I'll just call it test for the symbol and do this is a test contract for the HBC Hackathon demo. Let's call it that. I'm going to go ahead and upload a file. For this one, I'm going to use my Pixel Hearts collection. I'll just use this blue one as the placeholder. Second thing here is the payout settings. You can determine who receives the primary sales and oftentimes secondary sales for this contract specifically. And the cool thing is it pre-populates with the wallet that is connected, but you're also free to change it. And the other thing is if you are planning on building a marketplace or want to have platform fees, you can add that in the additional configuration. And down here, I want to configure my network. Like I said, we're going to be deploying to the Milkomeda A1 testnet today. So let me go ahead and switch over to Milkomeda A1 testnet. If you have a custom network, feel free to import that in as well. What I'm going to do is pick our Milkomeda A1 testnet here from the dropdown, and we are going to hit deploy now. Oh, I need to switch my wallet to Milkomeda. This is going to let me do that. Switch network, and now we can deploy. This will prompt a couple transactions from your wallet, but it will take you through the process of what each transaction is for. And we'll go ahead and confirm that one. After you've gone through all the prompts for basically deploying your smart contract, you'll be redirected to a dashboard where you can manage your contract, upload NFTs, do various things with the permissions, and many more things, as well as also being able to see code snippets that'll help you get started with building your application, which we will check out in a little bit. But before I do all of that, I do want to upload some NFTs to this contract. So I'm going to go to the NFTs extension here and go ahead and click on single upload. You can also do batch upload. This is wonderful if you're doing any project with a lot of NFTs with different properties. It's a lot easier than doing a single upload. But I only really want to upload about 2 or 3 NFTs, and I'm going to just cut through the process. I'll show you how to do one, and then I'll just kind of fast forward the video and do the rest on my own. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to start with the red heart. This is the name of the NFT. The media, I'm going to choose this PNG over here, but you can do any sort of media. If you want to do like a PDF or a video or a 3D model even, you could do that. And I'm going to call this an NFT of a red heart. Maybe I'll give it a property which is a color, and this is also going to be red. You can add more properties as well. And we're going to do what's called a lazy mint NFT. What lazy minting is, if you're not familiar, is it basically pre-uploads the metadata so that the user is able to mint the NFT rather than you minting the NFT to your wallet as you upload it. The user is able to do the first mint on their wallet. There's more information on how that works and what it is in our documentation. But yes, let's go ahead and click on the transaction here, and we will wait for this to deploy. After you've finished setting up your NFTs, you will be able to see all of them through this dashboard view. You can see the token ID, the media, name, description, and owner. And you'll notice for these ones, they all the owners are OX00, which just means that they aren't claimed. And you can verify that here. You see an unclaimed supply. The next thing that we're going to want to do is set up our claim conditions, which are basically settings on how to claim an NFT. And I'll kind of like make that a little bit clear here in a second. But the first thing we need to do is tab over to claim conditions, and we're going to add a phase. We can name our phase something specific if you want to. I'm just going to leave it as the default. You can decide when the phase will start, and this kind of lets you basically set the conditions based on a time. You can decide how many of the NFTs you will drop. This just means all of them. If I do unlimited, it's all of them. If I wanted to do just the first 3, for example, I could change that. And I can set how much I want to charge to claim each NFT. And I could also set a specific currency. If you decide to set a specific currency, you just go to custom ERC20 and do the ERC20's address here. You can also upload an allow list if you want to. It could be any wallet, or you could have specific wallets claim. For most of these, as you can see, I'm just like sticking with the defaults, but if you want to change it on your contract, if you're using an NFT drop, feel free to do that as well. All we have to do here now is save these phases, which will prompt another transaction in our MetaMask wallet. At this point, I'm going to show you a couple more tabs and settings on the dashboard, but we're not going to actually change anything. I think I'm pretty much done with how I want to configure my NFT drop contract. But just in case you want to see a couple of the other things that you can do, if we go to the build tab, we see different code snippets that will allow us to get started with our contract. In the Explorer, we can call any read or write functions if you want to debug it directly from here. It just works similar to Etherscan. And here, events, you can see what transactions are happening. You can see the 5 different tokens that I minted here and which block number and everything that they were a part of. Settings, you can update this metadata, primary sales, royalty settings, etc. And you also can see the sources for the contract. So if you want to dive in and see what code you actually deployed, you can see all of these different files here. Now, I did want to also add that if you want to create your own contract, you may also do that. I'm going to show you a really cool tool that we have, which is the Solidity SDK, and I'm going to just show you it in our documentation. I'm not a Solidity developer myself, so I didn't demonstrate that today, but if you are, it's a really great option. And what you could do is start with the base contract and add different extensions, and all of these extensions are similar to the ones that we saw today that you can unlock in the dashboard. At this point, we are ready to start building our application. So as you can see, I have my terminal open. Feel free to open yours as well. And I have zoomed in as much as I can. I hope this font is legible. But basically, the first command that we are going to run is npx thirdweb create app. And what this will do for us is create a starter project that we can build on top of. This makes it really easy, so I don't have to do any additional initial configuration. If you do want to just add the SDK to an already existing app, you're also able to just npm install the different packages that you will need. But I'm going to go ahead and do the full flow. So let's do npx thirdweb. I'm going to append at latest, since I may have had a previous version of thirdweb installed, but if you've never installed it, you don't need to add this part. So npx thirdweb at latest create --app. Go ahead and run that, and it's going to prompt us for a couple things. The project name, I'm going to be really creative here and go with Pixel Hearts. EVM will be the blockchain that I'm using today, and then also I'm going to just use Next.js. You can also use Create React App, very similar setup process, but it just comes down to personal preference. And here I'm going to use JavaScript, because why not? And this will go through the install process, but I will go ahead and skip a little bit forward here. After installing the project, go ahead and open it in your favorite code editor. Here I'm using VS Code, but feel free to use any of your choice. And I'm going to navigate to the _app.js file inside of my pages folder. And here I'm going to change the active chain to Milkomeda's Milkomeda A1 testnet. I believe that should be correct. If not, I can double check here. Yeah, that looks right. And then the second thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna actually just comment this out because I don't need to. I'm just passed it in directly. And the second thing we're gonna do, as you can see, we have a little bit of code already created for us here. I'm just going to go ahead and start a new terminal in your dev. I have a couple processes running already, but yours should default to localhost 3000 if you don't have anything running. And we'll open that up. Let me pull it over. Perfect. So you can see our application here that we can modify, but this is the basically default code so far. So let's go ahead and start building our application. It's going to be like a really, really quick app that allows you to view the NFT and be able to call a function on the contract. So pretty simple just for demo purposes, but we're going to create it. And what we're going to do here first is delete everything inside of this return, because we will no longer be using this code right here. And what I want to do is add a way for us to fetch our contracts. So we're going to use our use contract hook, and we're going to do const contract is equal to use contract here contract. We're going to pass our contract address from our dashboard, which is the easiest way, in my opinion, to fetch that address. And then the second thing here that I want to do is also use our use NFT hook to get the NFT data. So we're going to do data NFT is loading. It's another thing we want. And also for error handling, we will do that and call in use NFT and contract, use NFT on the contract that we just passed in, and then we'll do ID 0 for now. So we can save this. Actually, I think I need to also import use contract here. Perfect. So that is that. But we do want to render our NFT. So to do that, let's first start with our error handling. I want to check that if the NFT is still loading while it's still like fetching the data, that my app returns, let's do /div, and we'll just say loading for now, which is the same as the sample code. And if there's an error or there isn't an NFT, we'll return a div that says NFT not found. So this is pretty simple for now. And inside of this return, we want to pass in our thirdweb NFT media. And for the metadata, we're going to pass in the metadata from our NFT. NFT.metadata. And let's do a /triangle here. So that should load. Let's see what appears on our screen here. It's loading. Oh, and then now we have our token at ID 0. So this would be the red heart that we had. You can see that here. Perfect. The next thing I want to do is interact with this NFT in particular. So what I'm going to do is add in another component called the Web3 button. So let me go ahead and import. We're going to import Web3 button here. And let's pass this under our thirdweb NFT media. Oops. I'm going to just use a fragment here for now. Oops. There we go. Live coding is a little bit shaky today. And we'll pass in our Web3 button component here. For the contract address, I'm going to use contract.getAddress. Call that function here. And for the action, I want to call our claim function. So let me find the code where I do that. Whoops. Yep, here we go. For our action on this Web3 button, we're going to do action. And from our contract, we're going to do contract.erc721, which is the base or the ERC standard for this contract. And then we're just going to claim one NFT here. And let me make sure that I close that. Inside of our Web3 button, I think I'm just going to label it claim red heart. And we'll close that out. And let's see what that does. So if you go back to here, perfect. So now we have a red heart and we have our little connect wallet button. What I can do here is go ahead and connect my MetaMask. And we'll connect that here. And I can claim this red heart. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. It's going to prompt me to sign another transaction. And it's still loading. Perfect. And now if I go back to our HBC test contract, you can see that the owner of our NFT has changed. It is the wallet that I just connected with on our localhost. So that is a way to get started with the React SDK and using the different UI components. If you want to create a game or if you want to create a script or any sort of other awesome app that does something with your smart contract or calls functions on your smart contract, you're able to do that with the SDK. But I'm going to leave it here. Just do something super, super, super simple. I hope this technical workshop was super helpful for you to get started using thirdweb. And if you need additional help, I highly recommend checking out our different resources. If you navigate to blog.thirdweb.com, you can find a bunch of different guides, including how to create an NFT drop on Milkomeda, which is what we demonstrated today. And also on our documentation, you can find resources on how to use any sort of tool from thirdweb, including the ones that we worked with today and many more. In addition to that, we have also set up a dedicated forum for you all this weekend, which is in our Discord. If you go to discord.gg/thirdweb, join in, and then also go to Builders Hub. Under HBC Hackathon, you can create a new post and basically consider it a ticket for some additional support. Our DevRel team will be monitoring this forum this weekend. So yeah, good luck with all your projects. I hope to see you all post some really cool stuff on Sunday, and we will be here for the judging process. Thank you, everyone, and see you hopefully in another hackathon.